Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So guys, in this one I'm going to be building the HMS Unicorn, which is an aircraft carrier which actually saw service during World War II and was about, well, kind of around afterwards. So why did I decide to go with an aircraft carrier? Well, I haven't built one for about 7 years now, and I was just thinking, you know, I've got to be able to build one, and I've been getting back into kind of warships. I was thinking, let's go for it, let's build a World War II British aircraft carrier. So I'm just going to talk to you guys about what I'm doing design-wise. Obviously, I've just whipped through the entire bottom of the ship. I built the kind of rough layout of the bottom, but you've also noticed I built the flight deck. This is actually kind of really important because, you know, the flight deck is really important with aircraft carriers. If you get everything else a little bit off, it's not going to really matter, but the flight deck really is important. And as you can see what I'm doing here, I've kind of got the red layer, I kind of got a rough idea of where that's going to go out width-wise. So this is just looking at reference pictures, as many reference pictures as I could get, and models. The model makers that exist in the world are awesome. Without them, I would not be able to build any of these ships really, because they go into so much detail, and you can kind of like tell how they've built it and what they've used and all their reference pictures. So I'm just joining up the kind of lines that we've got here to get that front shape going. But again, because you've got the flight deck, once you've got that, everything else will just join onto that section. And it's the same for the back as well, just building that all up. So yeah guys, I've been playing a lot of World Warships, and in that they do have aircraft carriers. I was just thinking, this is really quite cool actually. I didn't realise that the World War II kind of aircraft carriers had guns on them. I think just because of the modern aircraft carriers we see now don't have guns on them, that kind of just made me think that's really interesting. It's really different. But in particular with HMS Unicorn, the reason that I was kind of like, I'm going to build this. This is going to be my next aircraft carrier, well, the first one I've done in 7 years, was actually because it was a maintenance aircraft carrier. So totally different role really, and it kind of fits a different, I don't know, just a different thing really. You know, instead of it being there to launch aircraft, though it actually did launch, you know, light aircraft from it, and it wasn't a light aircraft carrier. It was actually built to repair aircraft, and if you think about it, like something like World War II, so many planes going on, so much war all over the world, you know, so many different nations involved. Actually, it makes a lot of sense to have a ship like this. So that's kind of what drew me to it. The other thing is it's actually got 2 decks, so 2 flight decks, you know, or hangars even, so flight hangars, not decks, which I thought was just really interesting as well. So kind of a lot of the features to it just made me go like, actually I need to learn a bit more about this, because this is some part of, you know, British history, about world history that I just don't know about. So I was just like, you know, I kind of got brought into it from that. So you can see I've now got the rough shape with everything. And then the next bit is actually to do quite a few cutouts. So aircraft carriers, they aren't symmetrical, which makes it a pain, but you know, most of the kind of under part of it is symmetrical. So with this one, it actually made it a little bit easier because, you know, it had the island on one side, but it didn't have anything like a diagonal deck or anything like that. It was actually before those days, from what I understand, before that was kind of invented. But it does have quite a few cutouts, so you can see me going in here with slabs and stairs to kind of like smooth out those lines that we made out of blocks. Always start with your blocks, start big and then get smaller. You can always put more detail in, you can always refine things. But with this one, there's loads of different cutouts, and they're actually different on each side. So this is something, again, I didn't realise until I started building it, and I started looking at the model, and it didn't line up. And I really honestly didn't realise until like I'd got quite a way through, because I started doing it the same on each side, but it just didn't match. So we've got the big props in there, 2 really massive propellers. I'm really happy with how the back of this one actually looks as well. It's really quite nice and smooth, and looks really, really good. So yeah, going from, you know, building a couple of the couple warships to an aircraft carrier, you guys have got to be kind of prepared that it's going to take a long time. I think this one actually took me about 6 hours to build, which doesn't sound like a lot of time, but you know, something like the Hunt class destroyer that I built, that actually took about an hour and a half to build, so really short amount of time. But it's just because of the size, it's because of the complexity with these, the amount of details. You can see me now, you know, doing all these cutouts. You know, we've got cranes on this, we've got all the gun emplacements on the side as well, and of course, you know, this has actually got some pretty big guns, but it's kind of what drew me to it as well. It's what drew me to this build, so actually getting in there and being able to do these kind of things is quite cool. So yeah, it's got quite a lot of boats on the side at the back there, and quite a few cranes as well. So as we come onto the top part of the deck and onto the kind of like front part of it, you know, there's even more guns. It's actually got 4 of these quite large guns, and it was even used to bombard some of the kind of like land encampments, I don't know, places at one point as well. I believe in the Korean War is actually when it was firing down. What I also found quite cool as well on this is the anti-aircraft guns. It makes a lot of sense to have them. Of course, and it's actually got 4 of them, so it's got one on the front of the island and one at the back, and then on the actual ship itself on the other side, it's actually got them cut down into the deck, so there's almost like a chunk of the flight deck missing to put them in, which I thought I don't know, it's just quite interesting. In terms of the island itself, it's actually pretty big. From what I understand, this was actually one of the tallest ships during World War II for the British, for the Royal Navy, because it actually stood up so much out of the water. It's got a really nice kind of large tower as well on the back of this one. I actually started off with it being 4 blocks wide, and I quickly found that, you know, although that might have been more accurate, the interior space and actually the details that I could do around it just didn't work. On the side of this one as well, where the island is, it kind of sits out from the ship, so I was able to come in and actually just push that forwards by 1 block and then go down quite a bit, and that kind of worked in with the cutouts as well. Now it's got loads of life raft, kind of like dinghies on the side of it, which I thought was really cool as well. You know, something I haven't seen. A lot of these kind of like features on this ship in particular, I just haven't seen before, and I just thought, wow, this is actually kind of quite interesting. This is a bit of a challenge, but it did take me about 6 hours to get into it. But it was really fun to build, and actually learning a big chunk of history was just really cool. So here we go, guys. This is the finished build HMS Unicorn, an aircraft carrier, maintenance aircraft carrier, light aircraft carrier. I've actually put on the deck of this one, I've got Seafires, so Supermarine Seafires, and I've also got some ferries as well, which I think are Swordfish if I remember correctly. Which is actually looks like quite an old biplane, but works perfectly on it. But I'm really happy with the amount of details that are on this. It's just been quite, you know, fun learning about the history side of it. Like I keep on saying, it's just been really good and different to actually make something again, but really big. If you guys are going to be building aircraft carriers, just be aware it's going to take you quite a long time to get it, but it is a lot of fun, and you know, it might be something that I build later down the line. Depends on what you guys think and how you know, what videos you guys enjoy watching, so make sure to post in the comment section. But I will definitely be making a tutorial for this one shortly. It's going to be a long tutorial. I expect it'll be at least 5 hours or so, just judging by the amount of time that I've sunk into just creating this one and redoing bits and things like that. But I've absolutely loved kind of doing it, and it looks awesome. Really happy with how it turned out, and you know, from 7 years ago, I think my building style has improved quite a lot, especially as this is only my second aircraft carrier. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. Make sure to comment, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.